Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to episode 9, maybe? I think episode 9
Episode. Solid amount.
of the Fallbar Baseball Show. Just log into my computer so we get our notes up here. Today is NL Central Day.
Sure is.
And today is also Awards Day, because considering we only have a few weeks until the regular season starts, there are a decent amount of bases that we have to cover up until that point. So we're going to get a couple things done today.
Sure are. To top things off, or start things off, rather, Lynx went 4-1 this week. Wins against U Chicago, Alma, Fontbonne, and Vermont State Castleton. And then we dropped one to Huntington, who we had beat earlier in the year. But that is all right.
Even a Steven with Huntington. Even a Steven.
Even a Steven. You know what? That
Yeah, no, we
happens.
played well.
We're still 12-2.
12-2. We won way more than we lost.
Mm-hmm.
Going to center this weekend.
Big
Then
time.
going from Danville, Kentucky to Winter something, Florida. Be about 14 hours on the old coach bus.
Yep. Stopping in Macon,
Not
Georgia.
Atlanta.
Not Atlanta. Sad.
But yeah, no, we'll maybe we'll do a remote site fall bar or two from when we're in Florida.
A house fall bar, a
Yeah.
bus fall
Or
bar.
a back of the bus. I mean, we're on there for 14 hours. People are going to get bored.
Yeah.
We could use one of those 14 hours to do this show.
We sure could.
That would be funny.
Hopefully we're on the same bus. I don't know how that assignment's going to work out, but
I think
I'm pretty
it's-
sure we're going to have some freedom with that.
I think it's like younger guys on the new bus, older guys on the old bus.
That makes sense.
But
The
also,
problem is our class takes up half the team. So.
yeah, not all of our class is going to be on the same bus, so it'll be
Yeah.
interesting. It'll be interesting how that goes down. But anyway, Lynx are still hot. Conference play starts this weekend. Everybody get excited.
Big time.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, that environment's going to be sick this
It
weekend.
is going to be insane.
All right. So we did the AL Central.
We did.
I'm
We
over
hated
it. The NL Central is still very centrally. It's almost as centrally as the AL Central,
Yeah.
except
but
I think there's a little more disparity with these teams.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's only right if we start with the Cubs
I think you're right.
because they have done the most,
Done a lot.
and it's been interesting. But you know, I think they got better overall.
I think they
with
did too.
What they did with their moves, they obviously lost a lot. They lost Bellinger, Paredes, Wisdom. They traded away Wesneski, Mike Talkman. They lost a lot of those guys. But they added probably a top 3 outfielder in the league in Kyle Tucker. They added Matthew Boyd, who's like a bona fide starter. They
That is
added Eli Morgan, who was
Don't
a
sleep.
really, really solid reliever
Don't sleep
last
on
year.
Eli Morgan.
And then they added two like bench guys. But this is like a really good trade-off as a whole for the Cubs, because you're replacing Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger with Kyle Tucker, and you're kind of hoping that PCA fills into his role.
Yep.
And then you're replacing Wesneski's a starter, right? Or is he a long reliever?
I think he started out of necessity more than they maybe wanted him to.
Yeah.
But he's got it in him at least.
But regardless, they replaced him with Matthew Boyd, which is for sure an upgrade.
He's more of a starter at least.
Yeah. And
That's
then
what you're looking for.
they lost a couple relievers, but they brought in Eli Morgan, who had a sub-2 ERA last year with the Guardians. God knows why the Guardians gave him up that easily, but
They brought in Ryan Presley too.
oh right, yeah, I didn't get that one down. I think that happened after I wrote this down. But Yeah. I mean, the Cubs look great, and I think what is the most exciting for them is the fact that they have all these prospects that are knocking on the door.
Yeah, it's a good group.
Yeah, it's a really good group. It's not the Red Sox or Red Sox pre Garrett Crochet trade,
Yeah.
but it's similar. And Matt Shaw has looked good in spring training thus far. He's been penciled into the lineup like a lot of games.
He's got a good case to just be the opening day third baseman.
Yeah.
Outright.
Yeah.
But they did also sign Justin Turner. This was like days ago.
Yeah, but Justin Turner is probably gonna be just more of like a mentor / and DH kind of guy. He doesn't really move around in the field that well. He doesn't really move around well at all. He kind of just swings the twig now and gets hit by pitches. But yeah, I could totally see Matt Shaw playing an infield position on opening day. And then, I mean, Cade Horton is in AAA. Owen Cassie's already made it to the MLB. And then these guys, Ballesteros, Triantos, Kevin Alcantara.
I'm super excited about Kevin Alcantara.
Yeah. Kevin Alcantara is going to be really, really good.
I think he's like 6'8" or something.
6'6", 188.
All right. Well,
It's a skinny boy. But,
I'm more pounds than that.
Yeah. But yeah, they have a bunch of like back end of the top 100 or middle to back end of the top 100 prospects that all could really make a splash this year. You never know what guys are gonna do once they get in the MLB. So
I think they're the best team in this division.
I think it's hard to say that they're not.
Yes, it's. I mean, when we'll talk about the Brewers and how it's hard to count them out based on the philosophy of their organization and the way they always seem to somehow make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the Cubs are the best team in this division. They are the most complete. They now have formidable frontline pitching with the years that Shota has had and the years that Justin Steele has had. If I was pointing out maybe a weak spot, we could get a little more out of their starting pitching group. It's older a little bit. It's not super sexy or flashy, like signing one of the free agent pitchers. Like if this Cubs team went out and added Jack Flaherty,
I was literally just gonna say that name. Yeah,
they would be, or even like Nick Pivetta, just another like. And no shade to Nick Pivetta, he's my guy.
Yeah,
but like if they added a more formidable guy just to add to the group, I know they have 5 starters, but you can never have enough depth in that. In that area, and I really like the way that this position player grouping has come together.
Yeah.
Ian Happ is a mainstay on this team. You kind of know what you're going to get from him.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to play pretty well. He's not going to play great, but he's definitely not going to play bad.
Yeah.
Up the middle with Swanson and Horner, we've seen how that goes. They don't really hit, but if you get your hitting from your outfielders, and if you get some plus hitting from Matt Shaw, maybe he comes up and pops, then I think it's okay because they are going to defend well up the middle, especially with Pete Crow Armstrong. Looks like he's going to be the best defensive center fielder in baseball as soon as this year. So I think the philosophy is of being able to defend up the middle and then having guys that surround that give you your offense and you can at least put out there. I mean, Kyle Tucker is no slouch of a defensive right fielder.
No.
Matt Shaw looks to be pretty good defensively too at third or at second. So really sure. I think this position player group is very impressive and much more complete than it has been in years past when they've struggled.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, even with Dansby and Nico, we've seen them have like really productive offensive seasons. Mm-hmm. And I mean, neither of them are going to hit 40 bombs, but Horner's got the power to put out 15 to 20. Swanson's got the power to put out 20 to 25. He's done it in the past. And, I mean, his All-Star season in 2021, I believe, he was probably one of the better one of the better shortstops in the entire league. He was probably in the top 3 that year. So, I mean, there's a reason they signed him to that massive contract. And I think, this team – Their floor is really high, but their ceiling is even higher, or is proportionately higher. So like, because say Pete Crow Armstrong turns into like a 115 WRC plus type hitter,
That
and
would be
he's
like
got, you know, he runs faster than almost anybody in the league. He's going to steal a ton of bags. He's going to cover the entire outfield. He's going to be electric. I mean, we've seen him have the juice to go yard. We've seen him have the speed to hit inside the park home runs. He can do, pretty much anything on the baseball field.
he was a good hitter in the minor leagues too.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't just some guy that has only tools with his glove and his legs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just pulled up to see how many bases he stole last year. It was 27, but like he was a solid hitter in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Maybe more in Double A and Single A. He kind of got rushed up to play center field in the majors before he could. He wasn't a bad hitter in AAA, but before he could kind of get his feet super comfortable in AAA. So it might be a little more of a learning curve, but I think that this offense, this lineup is going to end up for the most part being okay if these guys are all healthy.
Yeah. And PCA will be 23 on opening day, just about. And, I mean, it still pains me that we traded him for 3 months of Javier Baez.
Yeah.
Straight up.
That probably wasn't the move.
Probably not, because we didn't make the playoffs. But it's okay. Those 3 months were pretty freaking fun. I can't lie. But yeah, I mean the bullpen is fine. Could be better, but at least you got Presley in there, and you got who the flip did I mention earlier? Eli Morgan, which for whatever reason he's not on
Yeah,
here.
he's not showing up here.
Maybe they traded him away. Hold on.
Eli Morgan. Eli Morgan is an American professional baseball pitcher for the Chicago Cubs of Major League Baseball.
Why is he not on here?
I don't know.
He's not even on like the injury thing.
No, everyone else has got him on the Cubs.
Weird.
Eli
Anyways.
Morgan, where are you hiding?
Yeah, where are you? I'm sure there's some weird like contract thing that's going on or something like that only Fangraphs is aware of. Or maybe Fangraphs is just tweaking.
Just forgot.
But anyways, yeah.
Regardless of that.
I mean, Colin Ray being your fifth starter isn't exactly ideal,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying about the rotation.
but the rest of it is solid. Tyone has shown that he can be a really solid major league guy, and he's not gonna just go out there and like crumble from injury every year. He's gonna be pretty reliable, and then the same thing with Boyd. And then I think Steele is one of the more underrated pitchers in the entire league, if not the most underrated pitcher. He had that really, really good 2023 campaign. And then 2024, he started to stink it up towards the beginning of the year, and everybody just kind of wrote him off as like a one-year wonder. And then he really, really got back into form towards the end of the year.
Pretty much just as good.
Yeah, I mean, if you go deep into the numbers, you'll see that. But him and Shota are really going to be a nice 1-2 punch. So I'm excited for the Cubs.
Yeah.
I could see them. I don't really see them being a 90-win team, most likely. I think their ceiling is probably like 92, 93. But I don't see them losing more than 80 games this year.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, in terms of being a 90-win team, it's more than likely that someone has to do it
Yeah.
from each division.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously there are years where it's kind of more balanced, and there are years where the win-loss disparities are more spread out. But I think if I had to, like, give you a number for the Cubs, I'd probably say 90 or 91.
Yeah.
Just because the chance that this unit has to really come together in a nice way is kind of something that we haven't seen from this division or the AL Central really, as we've seen
Yeah, totally.
teams that, I guess other than Cleveland, we've seen teams that have holes or like to struggle at midpoints in their season or have clear things or injuries that go down, and they kind of can't bounce back and be solid. But this team, I think, has the chance to kind of fight through all that over the course of 162 and turn in a pretty good product.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think before we go into the Brewers, another team that did a lot of positive this offseason is the Reds.
The Reds, yeah.
And the whole reason I don't think the Cubs are going to win 90 games, most likely, is because I think the Reds are also going to be fighting for that spot. at the top of the division.
The Reds are solid.
The Reds did pretty much everything right this offseason.
Yep.
Like, they know they're not a big market team, and they still went out and added some really solid and likely underrated guys, and they didn't give up much for them. They got Brady Singer, which unfortunately costed them Jonathan India, but that's fine. They got Gavin Lux, who, when he was playing last year, was actually really good. And if he gets a full 162 in and really fills into like a starting shortstop role,
I still believe in Gavin Lux.
He's only 27. He's got so much baseball ahead of him. And then Austin Hayes, which I spelled wrong, Taylor Rogers, Jose Trevino, Scott Barlow, and a couple other pitchers. I mean, that's a solid offseason in terms of building around your young core, because Friedel, McLean, obviously Ellie, and then you had Hunter Green come up, Nick Lodolo. Their rotation is really, really solid. Even Andrew Abbott was like
he had
solid.
Some really good moments last year.
He had some pretty good moments last year. They added Nick Martinez, who had a good campaign last year. And then their bullpen is solid. I mean, Alexis Diaz is kind of a somewhat proven closer. He's not
a little up and down.
He's not his brother, but he's somewhat close. And then Taylor Rogers is a proven bullpen arm. Emilio Pagan is fine. Scott Barlow's solid. Graham Ashcraft is honestly decent. Maybe he's just decent in MLB The Show. But regardless. Spencer Steer is starting on... Oh, he's just
got some shoulder discomfort.
He's got shoulder discomfort.
He's going to be okay.
Come on, man. Suck it up. Anyways.
Know what, Spencer Steer? Take care of your shoulder and get healthy for opening day.
Yeah, that's probably right. Anyways. Will Benson's in there for what I believe will be Spencer Steer's place in right field. Well, Steer plays everywhere.
Yeah.
But regardless, this is a really solid lineup that if they can kind of just mold and like come together throughout the year and build a solid culture and get the fans behind them, like Ellie is going to round out this lineup perfectly.
Yep.
He has been hitting the ball so hard in spring training. I keep seeing clips of him going yard. And it looks like he simplified his swing, too. He used to have that big stride and massive load, and now he's just realizing that he's 6'6", like 200-something pounds, and could flick his wrists, and the ball could go 500 feet. And he's simplified his swing, and I think he's going to bring up his offensive value a lot. I think he's not going to swing and miss as much anymore. And I think that really is going to help him, especially when his defensive value is more than almost anybody else in the league, because he just gets to everything. He's got one of the strongest arms in the league, if not the strongest arm in the league. So when you look at the rest of the lineup, Fraley for them was fine last year. Austin Hayes will always be a solid left fielder for whichever team he plays for. And then Lux Candelario, I don't have anything to say about this lineup that I'm like, that's a general weak spot. And that's what I like about the Reds, is they don't have anything that you can kind of point out and say, why did you guys not fix that this offseason?
My biggest question with the Reds offense, and I have one for their pitchers too, but the biggest question with the Reds offense is who protects Ellie De La Cruz? If you've got a superstar and 8 guys that are just kind of okay, who protects Ellie De La Cruz? Because you're going to be able to get pitched to a little more than if you have guys that are also feared. We're both pitchers. Say we were pitching against this Reds lineup. Mm-hmm. The attitude is kind of make sure that Ellie doesn't get me.
Yeah.
Everyone else is going to be a little bit smoother.
Yeah, get everyone out so that you can go around Ellie.
Right. But if Matt McLean kind of pops like people are saying he should, and how
Good
he
campaign last
how
year.
he did when he was healthy. If Gavin Lux kind of taps into some of that potential that we've been seeing for a couple years now,
Yeah.
that could take this team from good to playoff contention,
Yeah.
playoff team. Because I think that they've done a good job getting a solid group, but I still think they're a step away in terms of like the thump that their lineup can provide.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a big ad. Matt McClain, he played 89 games last year. He had 290, 14, or 16 home runs, 864 OPS.
He's really good.
He really hit the ball really well. Per his expected stats, he got a little bit unlucky, or a little bit lucky rather. But he's super fast. He's got his defensive metrics are really good.
He's the reason that the Jonathan India trade was good.
Yeah.
Jonathan India was expendable, and they used him to
Yeah.
get a player that is going to help them in a position where they needed some experience and were a little bit weaker.
Yeah. And he had a 4 DRS last year, 2 outs above average. I mean, if he really just repeats his production from last season, that's the guy who protects Ellie.
Yeah, it's true.
And then, let's say they have him in the 2 and then Tyler Stevenson in the 4. You got McClain and Ellie to deal with, which for now seems formidable. And then Tyler Stevenson rounds it out pretty well. Austin Hayes, Lux, like those guys can drive in the runs relatively
Spencer
consistent.
Steer can be that guy. Could
Spencer
be a
Steer, I
run
keep
producing
forgetting
guy
about him.
too that hits
Yeah.
like 5th or 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way that this lineup goes is gonna work. It could work kind of just okay.
Yeah.
Or if we get like if TJ Friedel's on base percentage is like 360 or something insane, like it could work really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. If whoever hits leadoff consistently throughout the year finds a way to get on base, like at a really, really solid clip, then they're gonna score a lot of runs.
Yeah.
With that 2, 3, 4 punch.
I wonder with this rotation and the bullpen I'm not all excited about. It's not the worst bullpen I've seen,
Yeah.
but it's like it's not the bullpen you want to take into a playoff series.
Yeah, I could see them. Like let's say they go out and win 88 games, they make the wild card.
Yeah.
What stops them from bringing Chase Burns out of the bullpen in the playoffs?
He could be up.
like the Tigers did with Jackson Jobe last year.
Chase Burns is, I think, ready to be a major league pitcher this summer.
I could totally see it.
I could see it happening.
He only got to rookie ball last year, which is weird to me. But
He's pitched in the SEC.
he's ACC, but
Both.
yeah,
He
because he was
transferred
with
to Tennessee.
Tennessee, and he just didn't play for their minor league system last year. That's upsetting. That's also really weird. Anyways, but he tops out at 102, 103, something like that, and he's got 3 pitches. That's what you need to be a legitimate major league closer.
Yeah, 102 is good.
Unless there's something really off about his, movement profiles that they need to tweak. He is going to be a legitimate major league arm by the end of the year, and I can see him having a similar role as Jackson Jobe did. And then, Rhett Lauder is gonna be in their opening day rotation, I would have to assume.
Yeah.
He might fill in either Martinez's or Abbott's spot, depending on what they're looking for.
He showed some really good flashes
Yeah.
last September, and it was kind of flashes that you don't usually see from younger pitchers, like the ability to sequence really well, the ability to command his pitches and throw a lot of strikes early.
Yeah.
So that's exciting stuff, especially if you have guys like Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo that are more nasty, but kind of struggle to be around the zone, and that's what's gotten them into trouble so far in their careers.
Mhm.
So they've got a good balance in their types of young pitchers.
Yeah.
And if they've clearly drafted their pitchers well, but if they can continue to develop them and turn them in like from prospects to good pitchers, then it could be a long pipeline of a very solid rotation.
Absolutely. And then I could see Cam Collier going crazy this spring.
I don't think
and
this year is the year for him.
not the year to get in the major leagues, but the year for him to knock on the door for sure. And I mean, he's more of like a I'm gonna hit 260. I mean, he really hasn't been an average guy for them once he got past rookie ball. But I mean, he hit 20 home runs last year in high A ball, and he just slugs the crap out of the ball. So we'll see. But the Reds, good job this
Positive
offseason.
outlook on the Reds.
Good job. A lot better job than this next team we're going to cover, which is the Milwaukee Brewers. Which, what?
But they're still kind of good.
But that's the thing, is they're like kind of good, 'cause like this top 3/6, depending on whoever wants to like actually play baseball this year, like it's really good.
I think the Brewers are kind of good still.
I know. I was like the entire like off season, I was like, this Brewers team is gonna win 60 games. Oh my gosh! And then I realized I went to do their like win totals or try to like at least gauge it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Jackson Chourio, Christian Yelich, William Contreras is the first 3 batters that you have to pitch to. That is horrifying.
Yeah, that sucks.
That is terrifying. And then Garrett Mitchell has been playing well in spring training. I've seen a couple clips of him. Rhys Hoskins is still a bona fide starter in the
put
league.
him out there.
And he's going to bring some electricity for sure to that lineup. And he's still going to be a major butthole because he is a brutal human being, at least from a Mets fan perspective.
Pete Alonso fan perspective.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso
or
versus
Jeff McNeil fan.
Reese Hoskins.
And Jeff McNeil, too. They don't really like each other.
You
very
like
much.
Jeff McNeil?
Yeah, why not?
Never liked Jeff McNeil.
No, he's fine.
He just looks a little silly.
Yeah, he does look, but I mean, he's called the squirrel for a reason.
Yeah, he looks like a squirrel.
He does.
Anyway.
And he also has a batting title for my ball club, so that's pretty cool.
Not my ball club.
Yeah, sorry. Anyways, Bryce Turang was probably the most annoying person ever in the wild card series last year because he's got one of these swings where he's super up here and he just and hits everything to left field.
Scrappy ball player.
And he is a doubles machine, or sure was in the wild card. And he also won a platinum glove, so there's that. Sal Frelick, kind of similar-esque player, but a little bit less valuable defensively. I mean, like, I'm looking at this lineup, and I'm like, this team can still win 90 games because it's like very similar to the storyline, at least the lineup. We'll get into rotation in a second. But it's a very similar storyline to the Cubs where it's like they have these studs that are going to put out major offensive production at the top of the lineup, and then they have good defensive center fielder in Garrett Mitchell, good defensive second baseman and left fielder in Turang and Frelick, and I don't really know much about Ortiz's defensive value.
He played third base all of last year.
I know he did,
and
yeah.
They're moving him over to replace Adames, of course.
He can't be very good, then.
But he could be, because he's still young. He's 26.
Oh, wait, never mind. Oh,
right,
wow.
yeah, he was,
11 outs above average.
He was really good at third base. I'm now inclined to believe that he's going to be a totally serviceable major league shortstop, maybe even better than that.
Me too. So, yeah. I mean, that brings me back to my point of, like, everybody's going to be good at defense.
That's how they do it. Pitching and defense.
And, like, I skipped over the top 3 for defense, but Chourio was a very, very good defensive outfielder last year. Yelich is a career good defensive outfielder. He's slowing down a little bit.
It's better if he doesn't have to be out there as often.
Yeah, I mean, he's just always hurt, so it's hard. It's hard for him to play good defense, but and then even like William Contreras was known to be a liability behind the plate when he was with the Atlanta Braves, and now he is per Savant like literally the most average catcher ever.
He's had some years too, like the past couple years, where he's been well above average.
Yeah.
Those numbers tend to fluctuate a decent bit.
Yeah, let's go look at his percentage, guys.
The Brewers.
not
I
really
mean,
showing much.
it's hard to look at this team and know that last year Devin Williams was on it and Willie Adames was on it.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, they've been losing good players year over year
Yeah.
for the past several years now, and they have still found ways to make it work. The lineup is good. I think the role that Adames, because Adames is like a star player, like he's one of your best 2 or 3 guys in the lineup. Like
Yeah, for sure.
Jackson Churio, it's time for him to be that guy. And then if you can get Terang or Ortiz to play their good defense, obviously, but then also be like more than just an average hitter,
Yeah.
then I feel like this lineup is kind of just back where it was.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And back where it was good enough to win 90 games and win the division.
93, yeah. And I mean, like, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, they have some guys on the IL. They got DL Hall and Woodruff down there, who hopefully will be back for them at some point. Because we'll talk about the pitching, but I mean,
Let's talk about the pitching right now.
sure, but honestly, they pitched without Devin Williams for the majority of last season.
Yeah,
He was really not on the field that much.
yeah, they're going
And-
to be able to come up with the relievers somehow that
Yeah.
have the stuff to get outs. They always do it.
Yeah, and it looks like they're kind of replacing Adames with like a Moneyball style replacement, where it's like, let's get 3 guys that will replicate his value, and then the only thing that just makes me think this team is not going to do very well is the lineup or the rotation and some of the bullpen. And honestly, with how they develop pitching, I can't be certain in that, because if you like, Freddie Peralta can 100% be an ace. He's still only 28, and he's shown that he can be that 1-2 kind of starter guy.
Tobias Myers is also going to have a breakout season.
Yeah. So Tobias Myers absolutely carved the Mets in Game 3 of that series where Pete Alonso hit the home run. But anyways,
that wasn't off Tobias Myers.
honestly, no. I would glaze the hell out of Tobias Myers. That was one of the more impressive showings that I've seen from
he's
a
good.
starter in a playoff game, as young as he is, in a while. And I mean, he's got that fastball that just.
The back end of this rotation,
Model ride.
Nestor Cortez, Aaron Savali,
Yeah,
Aaron
this is what scares
Ashby.
me.
This could get into some trouble because it's not better. Like, this rotation is not better than the Cubs rotation,
No.
which the Brewers, it hasn't gone that way for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
The Cubs rotation has been worse than the Brewers ever since they won the World Series or way back then. Yeah, and I think it is close to not being as good as the Reds. It's kind of based on the Reds' upside because their rotation is much more upside than these guys, but they're all pitchers that kind of have the chance to give stable innings,
Yeah.
so to speak. But especially if this is the group, and they'll probably make additions if they're in it, but I don't know if this is really the group to get me to the promised land in October.
Yeah.
Now that the other teams in this division are making some improvements.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the bullpen is fine. I think McGill's going to be their closer, and I think a lot of people don't really like see him in like a closer light because he's just not a really well-known guy, but he's up to 101 and he's like massive. He's like Felix Bautista, but like a little bit less cool. So
He is huge.
he's massive. But I mean, Koenig had a good season for them last year. Joe Payamps had a good season for them last year. And then, the Brewers develop pitching. They'll
Yeah.
find the guys that will be good for them. So there's no worry with their bullpen. I think the things that could hurt this team and the things that could stop them from making the playoffs is their starting rotation and how well the back end of their lineup plays, and
I
if
agree.
Yelich can stay on the field.
Yeah.
Those are the three
I
X
agree.
factors.
Because Yelich will give them stability.
Yeah.
But they don't look so bad.
No, I really, when I was pulling up their
Maybe we're a little too
Fangraphs
hard
page,
on
I
the
was expecting it to be a lot worse, but it could be fine. They could win 90 games. They could also win 70. So we'll see.
All right, St. Louis. We did nothing. We lost
Everything.
We lost a handful of old guys. We still have a handful of old guys.
It was
don't-
really upsetting if you're a Cardinals fan.
I don't know what we're gonna do because like you got a couple good players here and there, a couple fun young players here and there, but not really. You're just worse than all the other teams. Ryan
Yeah.
Helsley was great last year, but he's in a contract year, and your bullpen is thin. You should trade him. Nolan Arenado was once one of the 5 best baseball players on the entire planet, and now you can't find a trade partner for him.
Yeah. He's like begging to go to the Yankees, and they just won't trade him there.
Sonny Gray is still a very solid starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals have no other very solid starting pitchers.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they have Tink Henson, Quinn Matthews coming up.
But
So
they're
there's
coming
that.
up.
Yeah, they're not bona fide Major League starting pitchers.
No, I will say this, and I've talked about this with a lot of our Cardinals fan friends, that their pitching group in the minor leagues is very exciting.
Yeah. But their pitching group in the major leagues is a dumpster fire.
It's not exciting. And it's a little old, and they did this thing when they signed, and Lance Lynn's gone, but they signed Eric Fetty and Steven Matz to try and make these marginal pitching additions, and none of them panned out. And
Yeah.
it was just never good enough to create a sustainable product.
You're not the Brewers, St. Louis.
You're not the
You can't
Brewers.
just do that.
And the lineup was this close a couple years ago from really taking off.
Mm-hmm.
But Nolan Gorman regressed after a good rookie year. Brendan Donovan is not bad, but he's like a contact hitter. He kind of just is who he is.
Yeah.
Jordan Walker has really struggled in the beginning of his career.
Yeah, that's more the Cardinals' fault than it is his. Because they just kind of killed his confidence.
Right, but the notion that we had these guys like Walker and Gordon and Alec Burleson has been performing better than them is obviously a signifier that things haven't been going too well.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And they have Mason Wynn, who's a very exciting player.
He's awesome.
He can run really fast and throw the ball really hard, and he hits with some pretty decent pop. But he's kind of all there is to get excited about.
Him and Wilson Contreras, yeah.
Yeah, Wilson Contreras is still good, making the move to first base. But also, like, what's the point of keeping Wilson Contreras if you're not going to be performing well and he's aging?
This needs to be a team that performs at the deadline. I think that's pretty set in
By
stone.
performing, do you mean blow it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah, I think it's
who
time for
wants
these guys
Wilson
to go.
Contreras? Who wants Nolan Arenado? Who wants...
I don't want Nolan Arenado. I want Bregman.
Yeah, neither do I.
I don't even want Contreras anymore.
Who
But there will
wants
be teams that do.
Sonny Gray? Who wants
Yes,
Eric
Sonny
Fetty?
Gray. Someone wants Sonny Gray.
Like, throw everybody at somebody. Do a White Sox where you just dump literally all you got.
Do it better than the White Sox.
But do it.
Which you
Please
probably
do better
will
than the
because you
White
have
Sox.
Chaim Bloom.
Yeah.
And look what Chaim Bloom did
Yeah.
with the Red Sox. Now everyone's more excited about the Red Sox young guys than ever before. And he could do the same thing for the Cardinals, but you kind of have to go backwards a little bit for that to happen.
Sell, sell, sell. And then...
Which is all right because if you go forward, you're just going to get headbutted by
Yeah.
even the Reds at this point.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cardinals.
Sorry, Cardinals. But you're probably going to win in the 70s of games this year.
All right, moving on, Cardinals.
Yep. Let's talk
That's really
about
sad.
the most... Yeah, seriously. Let's talk about the most weird and
you
upsetting
hate
team.
the Pirates.
Yeah, but like I love to watch them pitch.
You hate the Pirates.
I don't hate
They
the
have
Pirates.
Andrew Heaney rocking number 0 this year.
That's cool.
No, I hate the Pirates now just for that.
Okay.
Andrew Heaney, number 0. That's not going to work. The Pirates have the best pitcher of all time.
Yep. Already.
I will retract that a little bit, but they have Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
He was the Rookie of the Year. He was a Cy Young finalist. He is a animatronic. He's a robot.
That one's not in my vocabulary. Oh, yeah. Sure.
He's a robot.
He is a robot.
He's really good. He's super big and super strong. It throws really hard. It throws all these pitches that move every which way.
And he added 2 more, which, what?
Yeah, Paul Skeens is sick.
Paul Skeens has nya, he's got nya, he's got nya, he's got nya. It's like, what?
Jared Jones is like halfway to sick. When he throws strikes, he's sick. Mitch Keller is sometimes sick and sometimes really hittable.
Yeah.
But like in terms of a top 3 in a rotation, that is solid. It's solid not just for a young low market team. It's like actually good.
Yeah, it's like really good.
Go.
I don't know what I was gonna say. Oh well, I saw Trevor May talking about it. He's got his own fun little podcast, and he was talking about Skeens, and everybody was like, "Why would Skeens add a cutter and a 2-seam when he's got a splinker, which was like a top 5 pitch in baseball last year? It was an 80 graded pitch, and he's got 103 on his fastball. And apparently, according to metrics, he's got like the quote unquote dead zone fastball, which means it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't ride. It doesn't run. It doesn't cut. So he needs this 2-seam and the cutter so that he can have other pitches to sneak the fastball by.
Yep.
And
because even though he throws 100, major league hitters will time it up if it's not riding above their barrels or if it's not running into them.
yeah, I watched Jared Kelenic hit a leadoff home run against him last year live in front of my face.
He was probably sitting heater.
He sure was, and he hit it really far. And then Paul Skeens did not give up a run for the rest of the game and hit 99 on a splitter.
Speaking of major league hitters, the Pirates have a couple of those.
Like 2.
Yeah. No, I mean, they have. Brian Reynolds has been pretty good, but Brian Reynolds has been the Pirates' best player for 4 or 5 years now, and he would hit 7th on the Dodgers.
Pretty much. Maybe 6th.
Yeah. I like O'Neal Cruz. I think moving him to the outfield is great because he's just not very capable of fielding ground balls anymore. Maybe that's because he's 6'7".
Yeah.
I think he'll be a good outfielder.
Mm-hmm.
I think his liking to strike out and not liking to walk has hurt him a lot.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of not going to become the stud that everyone thought he was going to be.
He needs to have an Ellie transformation kind of thing.
Yeah, but he's not Ellie. We all thought that he and Ellie were going to be the same, but he's definitely not Ellie.
Yeah. No. Tommy Pham has proven that he can go on a team and be average, and that will be helpful. But the problem is when your leadoff hitter is average, that's not great.
Yeah, and he's probably going to get traded anyway.
And then Andrew McCutchen is 38. And
wow, I feel old.
So do I. Jeez. And he's projected to have a 0 WAR this year. Joey Bart was the number 4 overall draft pick when he got drafted.
Yeah.
And now he's just like, He might have been 3, actually. Oh, wait, no, he was number 2.
Brian Hayes was the best defender and the worst hitter.
Yep.
In Major League Baseball.
It's pretty much how he plays baseball.
And there was a time where we all thought he was not going to be a bad hitter at all.
Mm-hmm.
He is a bad hitter.
Yeah.
Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is also a bad hitter.
Yeah.
This would be completely different if they had a top of their lineup like the Cubs and Brewers, where you could run these guys out there that are glove first that don't really hit. But the top of their lineup is
Pham Reynolds and
going to be average at best.
Probably.
As a
maybe
combination
a
of the
little bit
group.
above average. And
That's like high end is maybe a little bit above average.
Yeah, seriously, that's their ceiling. And their entire farm system outside of Tamar Johnson and Connor Griffin is pitchers.
Yeah.
And, Bubba Chandler is going to be really freaking good. but it's not going to matter when they're going to score 2 runs a game.
They've struggled with their position players that they've drafted. They've struggled to turn them into quality major league bats.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the problem is, but it's been like basically organization wide.
Yeah. And I think Connor Griffin, once he gets there, will change that. But Tamar Johnson is already, like, he's very, very, very talented. I played against him when I was really young. But, I mean, he's still averaging 239 in the minors. 796 OPS is really good because he just hits the ball, like, super, super hard and far. He's got that big swing where he just cocks super far back and just unloads on the ball, but that causes him to swing and miss. And he had 116 strikeouts last year to 85 walks, and that was in 443 at-bats. So he's striking out pretty much every 4th at-bat, which isn't great.
No, it's not.
I mean, it could be worse because the year before that he had 350 at-bats and 120 strikeouts. So he's improving on that metric. But regardless, like, you're 2 years away from him making the major league roster,
Right, it's not going to happen soon.
and you're probably 3 or 4 from Connor Griffin because he's 18. So, I mean, like, you got to find a way to get more prospects and quickly because Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, and Jared Jones are going to want contracts by the time Connor Griffin is in the major leagues.
Or maybe they're just going to want to play somewhere else.
Yeah. Seriously. So, I don't know. Figure it out, Pirates.
Figure it out, Pirates. You guys are just... And they were 76 and 86 last year.
That's
like,
the thing. Is like they're not
close to
that bad.
They're close to being all right, but
most of their wins come from their starting rotation.
Yeah.
So,
Can't keep up.
yeah.
All right, do we have time to look at the odds of one of the awards?
I'd say like 2 or 3, honestly.
Well, it depends how fast you want to do it.
I'm not anticipating it's going to take much time.
MLB
Let's look at MVP.
MVP odds.
I feel like that's
2025.
I'm on BetMGM right now.
I'll go on BetMGM right now.
Aaron Judge is currently the favorite at plus 300. Bobby Witt Jr. at plus 450. Gunnar Henderson comes in at the 3 spot at plus 600.
I've seen some
Can I
spots
do an anti-dark horse on Gunnar Henderson? Where I just think he's going to finish like 10th in the voting.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. Also, I've seen some places where Bobby Witt actually has the highest odds.
Interesting.
That's happened.
I mean, I can't imagine that Aaron Judge has another season where he goes 162 games and hits 59 bombs.
Right, but he's done it more than once, which is cool to say that it's even happened more than once.
Yeah, it's crazy that it's happened more than once.
My dark horse is Vladdy, who's down at 1,600.
My dark
contract
horse
year.
If I were to put 2 on the dark horses,
You can go off the odd sheet that they're giving us here too.
yeah, I don't know why this is so limited, but so one that I saw in another one was oh my god, his name is falling out of my brain right now. I'll go with my first one and then I'll remember his name. Mike Trout is my first dark horse.
That would just be
because
wonderful.
He's Mike Trout, and
that would be so great.
If he has a Mike Trout season, he'll win MVP. And then, oh my God, Ryan, you are so
Julio
silly.
Rodriguez.
There he is.
Yeah,
Julio Rodriguez is my second one.
I was only able to get that because I was thinking that he's a good dark horse pick too.
Yeah. I mean, I think Vladdy's fine, but he's probably going to regress defensively, and it's hard for him to repeat that offensive production.
In terms of value, also, if you're a first baseman or a DH or a bad outfielder, you really have to hit.
Yeah, you basically have to do what Shohei did last year. Yeah. I don't really like looking at the AL MVP race because I don't really look at all these guys and say, wow, they could win an MVP this year 100%.
Yeah.
There's only like 3 or 4 guys on here who I'm like, yeah, those guys could be in the running. But the NL is much more fun to talk about. We can spend like 4 or 5 minutes on that, and then we'll do some more predictions next week.
I like that.
Shohei is obviously the favorite. I feel like that's entirely fair because he's actually pitching this year. The Mets have 2 people on this list,
He's
which makes me
pitching
happy.
again.
Juan Soto, if he plays better defense and if he hits even better than he did last year, could be running away with it.
You almost feel like I'm surprised he doesn't have an MVP yet, because how much
He should.
better can he get?
Yeah,
Like, he's played at MVP level for the past 3 years or so.
yeah.
So I just feel like if he
Realistically, in 21, he
should have
statistically should have won it.
Yeah. So if he taps into another level of Juan Soto, which I guess is possible, then he'll win it. But I just feel like his ceiling so far has been finishing second.
Yeah. I'd say the 2 dark horses, Corbin Carroll being on here is crazy to me. But Ellie De La Cruz is probably the most value pick here
That's what I was thinking too.
at plus 2,000. I feel like he should be at plus like 800 right next to. I feel like him and Tatis should switch, honestly.
Yeah.
Put Tatis at 2,000, Ellie at 800. That makes a lot more sense to me. Tatis would be my certified dark horse if he wasn't in third for
If
the
these weren't his
odds.
odds. It's also so hard to actually like place against Otani here.
Yeah. And then Acuna, the last time he came back from an ACL, won an MVP. Well,
It's
no.
true.
Was that? I think that was 2 years after his ACL.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But still. Kyle Tucker is similar to Juan Soto, where his ceiling is kind of like third in MVP
Yeah.
voting. But he'll put up a fight. And then I'm sure there's a ton of other guys.
One of the odds pages I looked at was a little more expansive. I forget what it was. It might have been FanDuel. I kind of like the Jackson Chourio poll because of the season
that's
he
fun.
had at like
That's
20
fun.
years old.
Yeah.
He's got to turn in a little bit more of a better offensive season than he did last year. But if you're looking for like a super long shot, young guy to blow up,
Yeah. Mark Vientos. No. He's at plus 8,000 on VegasInsider.com.
maybe Mark Vientos.
Ketel Marte is also another fun one because
Yeah.
if he played a full 162 game season, he might have won the MVP last year. And then, yeah, Churio, Merrill are all guys who will probably be up there in the voting if they play like they can.
Mm-hmm.
So that is it.
That is the episode for this week. We
talked
don't know
about-
where we're going to be coming to you next from.
Yeah,
But
it
we're
might
gonna
be
talk
Florida, it
about-
might be Georgia, it might be a bus in
It might be Kentucky.
like Kentucky or Tennessee. Who knows?
But
There's
we're
a
gonna
lot
be
of states
talking
on that
about
path.
The Wild Wild West in some way, shape, or form.
Woo.
We will figure that out. And thank you for listening. We will see you next week.
See ya.
Peace.